So in our last video, we created the APIs for searching the user and creation of the chats. Now in this video, we are going to create the UI for searching of the user. And when we have searched the user successfully, just like this, we can click on it and create the chat for that user and start sending him message. So I've opened our project folder over here and I'm gonna open the terminal and start our app. So our backend has started and I'm gonna open a new terminal. And I'm gonna switch to front end and I'm gonna start our front end. So this is our app. We have created login and sign up for our app up until this point, and when we go to login, we are redirected to the /chat page. So inside of my front end folder, I'm gonna go inside a src and initialize our context API. Now what is context API? Context API helps us manage the state of our app. It helps us put the state at the top so that we can fetch the state directly from one single place. It creates one single source of truth for our state. If you're not aware of Context API, you can go and watch this video. Link will be in the description below. But of course, in this video as well, I'm going to explain you everything how Context API works. So I'm going to create a new folder over here called context. And inside of it, I'm going to create a new file, chat provider.js. Now to create our context, we need to write const and give the name to our context, which I'm gonna give chat context and equals create context. We need to import this, so I'm gonna import from React. We're gonna import create context from React. And now I'm going to create the chat provider, which is going to wrap whole of our app. So chat provider, and it's going to take the children, which is going to be whole of our app. So I'll explain you in just a moment. Let me just write this real quick. And we're going to return something called chat context dot provider. So I'm going to write it like this, chat context dot provider. Just like this. And inside of this, I'm going to keep this children, which we imported from here. Cool. Now let's export this. Export default chat provider. Right? So we have created our context successfully. Now we need to take this chat provider and go inside of our index.js. So I'm going to remove this strict mode tag and I'm going to put it in place of that. And I'm going to wrap the whole of our app in this chat provider so that whatever state we create inside of our context API, it's going to be accessible to whole of our app. Okay, so this we have created successfully. But how do we make the state accessible into other parts of our app? So we need to use a hook called useContext. So we write useContext, and this useContext takes this context that we have created. So we can place it over here, and also let me import this. Yep, just like that. So inside of it is going to be whole of our state. Now I'm going to create the state in just a moment. But before, I'm going to export const chat state. And I'm going to return this from inside of here. So that all of our state is inside of this variable. Now how do we create the state inside of our context API? For example, if we are creating a user state, so let me create a user state called user, import use state. Now obviously if we create this state inside of any component, it will just be accessible inside of that component. But since we are creating this inside of the context API, so this will be accessible for whole of our app. Now how do we make it accessible for whole of our app? We're going to copy this, and inside of this tag, we're going to give a value prop. And it's going to take an object with all of these states, just like this. That's all we need to do. So to put value inside of it, so if you remember when we created our login and sign up, we are storing our user info value or user value inside of our local storage. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a use effect. And inside of this, I'm going to fetch our local storage. So I'm going to say local storage.get item user info. And then since this will be in the stringify format, I'm going to parse it. So json.parse. And I'm going to store it inside of a variable. Let's say const user info equals json.parse local storage. All right. Now we have this variable, so we're gonna store it inside of our set user state. So set user to be user info. Now what I'm gonna do is over here, I'm gonna check if the user is not logged in, it's gonna be redirected to the login page. So I'm gonna say if user info is not there, then history dot push to /route. Now obviously this history I have to define over here. So I'm going to say const history equals use history. And use history hook is imported from React router -DOM. Make sure you have imported from React router DOM. Alright, so I guess that's pretty much it. And I'm going to give history over here. So whenever the history changes, it's going to run again. Awesome. This is all we needed to do. Now, one more thing that I'd like to do is I'm going to go inside of our home page. Since we are checking over here, if the user is not logged in, push it to the /route. But inside of our home page, if the user is already logged in, so inside the home page, I'm going to go to the top over here and I'm going to say if the user is logged in, push him back to the chats page. So I'm going to add this code just like similar to that one. So I'm going to import use state. See, I've imported history hook and I'm going to fetch the local storage and I'm going to say if user is there, then just push it to the chats page. That's all. All right, now let's start working on our chats page. I'm going inside of this chat page.js and I'm going to remove all of this stuff that we had done earlier. We don't need it anymore. Let's remove this up. All right, cool. Now inside of this, we're gonna take our user state from our context API. Now, how do we take something from context APIs? You can see we are doing export const chat state. So this is what we need over here. So I'm gonna go to chat page and write chat state. And I'm gonna import the chat state just like this, import chat state from chat provider. And now inside of this, we're gonna have our user state. So I'm gonna write const and I'm gonna destructure the user state from inside of it. So user, just like this. Now inside of this div, I'm gonna first give this div some style of width 100%. And now inside of this, first thing that we're gonna build is this thing, our header of our app with this search user and this profile functionality and logout functionality, etc. So in here, I'm gonna check if the user is there in our app, only then render this side drawer component. I'm naming it side drawer because there's this side drawer over here. So that's why. So obviously this side drawer doesn't exist yet. Let me create this. Or you know what? I'm going to create the structure of our chats page and then we're going to move forward. So below this, I'm going to have a box from Chakra UI. And it's going to have two things. So again, I'm going to check if the user is there. Then render my chat. That is this section of our app. So I'm going to name this my chats. I'm going to comment this out. Similarly, we're going to have this section of our app as well. So if the user is there, then I'm going to say chat box. I'm going to name that chat box. Cool. And let's create all of these components real quick. So inside of the components, I'm going to create a new folder called miscellaneous for all of the miscellaneous components. Inside of it, I'm going to create a new file for side drawer.js. RAFCE. I'm going to say side drawer. Cool. Let's import this component /miscellaneous/side drawer. Let's see if it has rendered. Yep, side drawer has rendered over here. For my chats and chat box, I'm gonna create directly inside of over here my chats.js RAFCE my chats, and for chat box as well, new file chatbox.js RAFCE chat box. Let me import these two as well. Okay, I'm gonna have to import them like this. So they are not inside the miscellaneous. My chats and chat box. Let's see. Yep, all of these three has been rendered. but these two are supposed to be in the horizontal way. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna give some styles to this box. Display to be flex. So justify content. See, it's giving us suggestions as well. Space between. And I'm gonna say width to be 100%. Height is going to be 91.5 VH. You can put the height according to your will. And padding, I'm gonna keep 10 pixels. Let's see. Yep, you see? These are in the horizontal format now. Cool. Now let's go inside the side drawer and create the side drawer component. So first of all, we're gonna have a bunch of states over here which we're gonna use. So I'm gonna create all of the states first, then later we're gonna use them. So first is going to be the search state, empty string as initial value. We're gonna have search result as another state, which is going to be empty array. All of these search results that are going to be populated inside of over here. Just like this. Then we're gonna have a state to display our loading, which is going to be false by default. And then we're gonna have a loading chat to display when we click on a particular user, it's gonna display that the chat are being loaded. Don't worry about this much now. I'm gonna explain you as we go along. Okay. Now inside of over here, I'm gonna remove this side drawer and I'm gonna remove everything. Inside of these fragments, I'm gonna create a box component from Chakra UI, which will contain these many things: our search, our title, and both of these icons. So first thing, let's create this search. So if you notice, if we hover on this, it's gonna have this tooltip upon this. So this tooltip comes from Chakra UI as well. So I'm gonna write tooltip, and notice it's importing from Chakra UI/React. And obviously it's gonna have a label prov, which is going to say search user to chat, and it's gonna have an arrow. So I would highly recommend you to go and read more about it in Chakra UI's documentation. I don't want to open documentation again and again because that will make this video too long. So this has a few props like has arrow, and the placement which I want to be in the bottom. So bottom end. So let's see. Okay, let's create this, then we'll see. Inside of this, we're gonna have a button, which is going to have a variant. Let me import the button first. Just like this. And it's gonna have a variant of ghost. Alright, and inside of the buttons, we're gonna have an icon, which is going to be the search icon. So I'm gonna use the font awesome for this. So font awesome icons. So if we search for search icon, yep, this one, we have this thing. We can click on this and copy it up and just paste inside of our button. But to use this, we need to import the CDN for font awesome. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna search font awesome CDN. Just go inside of here and take the version 5.15. So yeah, 5.15.3. This one. Click on it and copy it up. Go to my public folder inside of index.html. I'm gonna paste it right below this, just like this. Let's see if this is working or not. Yep, you see, we have this search icon, and you can see as we hover on this, we can see a tooltip. Awesome. So this is what we needed. Let me close this up. Let's go back, and below this, I'm gonna write a text component, which will be imported from Chakra UI. See, yep, it's imported. Inside of this, I'm gonna write search user, and I'm gonna give this some styles as well. Display is going to be in the base. It's going to, so we have multiple different breakpoints in Chakra UI, like base, medium, large, small, just like we have in Material UI or Bootstrap. So you can read more about it in the documentation. So in the base, I'm gonna say, that is in the smaller screens, I'm not gonna display this, but in the larger screens, I'm gonna say, that is in the medium screens, I'm gonna say it's going to be flex. Let me show you real quick. So you see over here, search user. Now if we make the screen smaller, it's gone. It's gonna be gone. Yep, you see, just like that. And I'm gonna give some horizontal padding as well. P of X to be 4. Let's see. Yep, that looks awesome. Now I'm gonna give this box some styling as well. It's gonna be display flex, justify content space between, so that all of the contents are aligned properly, and align items to be the center in vertical manner. And background is gonna be white, width is gonna be 100%, some padding and some border width. So let's see. Yep, just like this. This is beginning to take shape. Alright, second thing that we need is this title of talkative. So let's go back, and below this tooltip, I'm gonna have a text with the talkative title, just like this, with font size of 2XL and font family of Work Sans. Let's see. Yep, you see talkative over here. Now when we add the third item, this is going to be aligned to the very center. The third item will be for that menu button. So below this, I'm going to add a div. Side, we're going to have menu. So let me show the menu real quick. In the Chakra UI menu. So this is how a menu looks like. See, so we're going to have menu. Inside of this, we're going to have menu button, and the menu list is going to contain all of these items of the list. Okay, let's create this. Let's import menu. Yep, menu from Chakra UI/React. And inside of this, I'm going to write menu button, which will have the padding of 1. And inside this menu button, I'm gonna add a bell icon. So Chakra UI itself has a bunch of icons. So if we go inside of Chakra UI and search icons, icon, inside of here we have a lot of icons. So we're gonna choose the bell icon. So this one, this is what we need for notifications. So I'm gonna say and write bell icons and import it. So bell icon, and we're gonna need this chevron down icon as well. So I'm gonna import this one as well. And I guess we need to install this Chakra UI/icons package, which we don't have right now. Let's see. Yep, we don't. Let's install this package. So if we go inside of here, yep, npm install Chakra UI/icons. I just wanted to show you that you can use Font Awesome as well and Chakra UI icons as well. There are multiple options for this. So let's install this. Make sure to switch to front end before installing this. We don't want to install this in our root. So inside the front end, write npm install Chakra UI/icons. There it is. Let's save this file and see if it works or not. I'm going to restart our app as well. cd front end and npm start. There it is. You can see the notification icon over here. And over here, I'm going to add the list for notifications. So menu list. For notifications, the menu list will be over here, and obviously we're not building notification right now. We're gonna build the notification in the future videos, so I'm gonna let it be. Also this bell icon, I'm gonna give this a font size of 2XL and some margin of 1 so that it looks good. Let's see. Yep, it looks good. Cool. So we're gonna leave this for now, and I'm gonna build this one, this menu right here, our profile menu. So below this menu, we're gonna have another menu, which will contain another menu button. So I'm gonna copy this up. So we can write icons inside of a menu button like this as well. So I can say as button, and for giving the icon, I'm gonna say icon will be in the right. So you can give right icon, left icon. So I'm gonna say right icon to be chevron down icon. Just like this. And inside of, let's say if I write anything and go back, yep, you see, we have it. So let's build this further. Now inside this, we're gonna have something called avatar from Chakra UI. So if you go and search avatar, so this will just like be a round profile picture. Yep, you see, just like you see in other social medias. So we're gonna use this. So this avatar will have multiple things. First of all, it's gonna have the profile picture of our user. who is logged in right now. So I'm gonna give this size of small, and it's gonna have a cursor pointer so that our icon changes. Let me import this first. Let's see. Okay, let me manually import it just like this. So it's gonna have if the profile picture is not available, it's gonna display, let's say if the name is Piyush Agarwal, so it's gonna display PA in the avatar. And for getting the name, obviously I'm gonna need the user state. So let's import the user state from chat provider. So just like we did over here, I'm gonna take this and paste it over here. Chat state, yep, just like this. I'm gonna take this user state and give inside this name, user.name. Now this should work. Let's see, let's find out. Yep, you see, so guest user is logged in, so it's displaying GU. And if the guest user has a picture, I'm gonna say src equals user.pic. Just like this. So if we go back, and obviously guest user has this default image, so it's gonna display this default image over here. Now I'm gonna display the menu list, which is going to be this one, this menu list right here. So below this menu button, I'm gonna say menu list. And inside this menu list, we're gonna have two things. First are my profile menu item, which I'm gonna import from chakra.ui/react. And the other thing is gonna be logout button. Logout. Let's see. Click on it. Yep, my profile and logout. Awesome. Let's create a little separation between them. So I'm gonna add a menu divider as well. All of these things are available in the documentation. You can go and check them out. Yep, you see, it looks much better now. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna create this profile model first. So if you click on this and click on my profile, it's gonna display this profile model. And then we're gonna create the logout functionality. And then we will move on to this sidebar functionality. So inside the miscellaneous, I'm gonna create a new file for profile model.js. RAFCE. Now let's go to Chakra UI and see how we can create a model. So model. So this is how we can create a model. We have this model tag over here, which takes bunch of things like on close, is open. Is there a full code for this? Let's see. I don't think this is the one. Yep, here's it, the model. And this is how we do it. So if you click on open model, we have this model opened. So this takes all of these things like use disclosure. So I'm going to copy this hook, which is going to contain all of our functions. And it's going to have this model with this button. Okay, fine. Let's create this. Import use disclosure from Chakra UI/hooks. Now we're going to use this profile model like this. So it's going to have two things. First, the user information, and second, the children. So I'm going to take the children and put them inside of over here. Just like this. And what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna wrap this thing in profile model. Just like this. Let's see. Okay, cool. So inside the profile model. So if we go inside the original app, you can see one thing. If we open a chat, we have this I button over here, on which if we click, we display the profile model as well. So we have to create this model so that it fits both of the places. Since this is the point of React, right? We are creating reusable components. So we have to create a reusable component like that. So what I'm gonna say, if the children's are supplied, so I'm gonna go inside of here and I'm gonna sort of fragments. I'm gonna say if the children are supplied, children question mark, if the children is supplied, then just display the children. Span, and for span I'm gonna give an on click to open the model. On open, which is this one, and inside this I'm just gonna say children. But if the children is not supplied, what I'm gonna say is I'm gonna display this I icon, which is gonna be like this icon button, and its icon is gonna be view icon. So icon button will be imported for Chakra UI/buttons. View icon will be imported just like that, and it's gonna have on open as well. So let's check this out. So inside of here, so right now we have my profile, but we only if we display profile model, and I'm gonna remove this. Let's see. Yep, you see the I button over here. Awesome. So inside the profile model, I'm gonna go again and let's finally create the actual model for it. So if we go to our docs and let's take whole of this stuff and paste it here and import all of these things because we're gonna need this. Model header, model close button, model body. I'm gonna not need this lorem. Let's add anything in place of this. Button, model footer, and I guess that's pretty much it. Let's find out if this works or not. If we, yep, we can see if we click on my profile, it opens a new model. Awesome. Let's customize it according to our will. So inside the model header, what I'm gonna say user.name. Let's see if we are supplying user from there or not. I don't think we are. So user equals user. Let's see. If I click on my profile, yep, you see guest user displayed. Awesome. And you know what? I'm gonna keep this model header. Okay, it's instead of over here. So I'm gonna give this a few styles like font size 40, font family, display, and some justify content. Inside of our model body, we're gonna have some things. So let's create the model footer first. It's gonna have a close button and no secondary action. So inside of the model body, we're gonna have first thing as an image, which is going to display our user profile picture. So image will be imported from Chakra UI/image. What's wrong? Okay, let me manually import it. All right. So image will have some border radius, border size, src, and an alt prop. Okay, and below this we're going to display the email address of the user. So for that I'm just going to simply import a text. Let's import it, comma text, and this should work. Let's find out. Click on my profile. Yep, guest user. Okay, this is not properly aligned. Let me align this and by giving this model some styles. First of all, I'm going to give this size to be large, and if is centered, let's see. Yep, it is centered, but this is still not defined. So I think I need to give model body some styles, which are going to be display flex direction to be column, that means top to bottom, align item center, and justify content space between. Yep, awesome. Let's compare this to our, yep, it looks absolutely similar. I think we need some padding as well, or some height probably. So inside of model content, I'm gonna give some height of 410 pixels. Yep, awesome. Alright, now that my profile functionality is done, let's build logout functionality. So I'm gonna go back to our app and I'm gonna create a function over here. So I'm not gonna waste much time in this because this is gonna be just simple. So logout handler, it will have a local storage dot remove item. We're gonna simply just remove the user info from the local storage, and we're gonna push it to our slash route. Okay, so let me create the history as well. Const history equals use history, and make sure it's imported from React router -dom. And I'm gonna put this logout handler inside of here. So on click logout handler. Okay, CLICK. Yeah, let's find out if it works. Logout. Oops, it's not working. Oh, on click. Let's see now. On click. Yep, it's logged out successfully. Let's log in again. Awesome, so this is working. Now let's go on and create this drawer for searching the user, the side drawer. So let's go to Chakra UI docs and I'm gonna search drawer. Yep. So we have all of these things to import, and if you click on open, it's gonna display this drawer, and it must have something called like on right. Yep, placement is right, so we can put it on left according to our need. Cool, let's go and create this. So below this box inside drawer.js, I'm gonna create a drawer component, and you're gonna see that it has imported, I guess. Yep, it's imported. It's gonna have the placement of left. It's gonna have on close. So I need to import on the use disclosure as well. The use disclosure. Let's copy it up and import it here from Chakra UI / hooks. Is it imported? Let me manually import this. So import at Chakra UI hooks. Yep. Yeah, just like that. Now we're gonna take this on close and put it over here. We're gonna have an on open as well. So we're gonna put on open inside of this, or I guess it's is open. So is open. Yep, it's is open. Now inside of this drawer, I'm gonna have a bunch of things. It's gonna have a drawer overlay, just like we saw in the documentation. It's gonna have a drawer content tag. So drawer content. It's gonna have a drawer header inside of the drawer content, which is gonna have border bottom of 1 pixels. Let's see if this is turning out to be what we expect. But before this, when we click on this search user, we need to open the drawer, right? So we need to add the functionality over here. So on click to on open. Let's see, this should work. We click on here. Yep, you see search users drawer is opening. Cool. Let's build it further. It's gonna have a drawer body. All of these things are getting imported. If you see over here, inside of this, I'm gonna have a box with display of flex and padding bottom of 2. So what is this for? It's for our input. So click on this. Yep, this input right here. So it's gonna contain, let me write this real quick. It's gonna contain the input tag from Chakra UI / input. Let me manually import it. So input. And it's gonna have button on click of which we're gonna handle search. So obviously this handle search doesn't exist yet, so I'm gonna comment it out for now. But this set search state, we did create it. So you can see search set search, and we're gonna update this state. And we're gonna give value of search so that this is a controlled input. Okay, so I think this drawer body needs to be inside the drawer content tag itself. So that's my bad. Let's see if it works. Yep, you see input tag is over here with this go button. Awesome. For this handle search, I'm gonna create an empty function for now. It's const handle search, just like this. Okay. Or you know what, let's create handle search first, then we're gonna move forward. So inside of the handle search, what we're gonna do, we're gonna check if there's search, if there's anything inside the search. So after we click on the button, this is gonna run. So I'm gonna check if there's something inside the search, or there's nothing inside the search. Then we're gonna throw the error by using our toast, just like we did in our previous videos. So for toast, what we're supposed to do, we're supposed to import the use toast hook. So const toast equals use toast, and use toast will be imported just like this from Chakra UI / React. Now if we go back and say empty and click on go, yep, you see, please enter something in that. So if you see, I've put the warning and I've put position to be the top left. That's why it was displaying on the top left. Okay, so there's that. Now below this, I'm gonna have a try catch, and I'm gonna make the API call for searching the user. So first of all, after this, I'm gonna say set loading to true when this search starts. And after this, we're gonna have a const config. So we are supposed to send the JWT token. If you remember in our previous video, we made this route as protected, so it takes some headers. So headers, and it's gonna have the header of authorization, which will be bearer token. So in the backticks, I'm gonna write bearer, and in the $sign curly braces user dot token. Yep, just like that. And I'm gonna take this config and gonna put inside of the Axios call. So I'm gonna say const data. I'm gonna destructure the data from the API call. So await Axios dot get. And the endpoint was, if you remember, it was /API /user. And we are supposed to send a query. So search, so question mark search equals, inside the curly braces, I'm gonna write search, whatever there's inside of this search state. And I'm gonna provide the config as well. Config. So this should be enough. What's wrong? Await. And this is going to be, since we're using await, this is going to be an async function. Just like this. Now, below this, I'm gonna say set loading to false and set the search result to the data. Cool. And inside of the catch, simply we're gonna display a toast if the API request fails. So I'm gonna say error occurred, failed to load the search results, status error, duration 5 seconds, is closable true, and bottom left. Yep, let's see. Yeah, everything looks good in here. Let's move forward and display all of these search results. So I'm gonna go right over here below the box. I'm gonna say if the loading is true, then do some loading stuff. Otherwise, display all of the search results. So if it's loading, I'm gonna create a component, chat loading, and I'm gonna display the component. So for now, let me just write any random thing inside of over here. And obviously this chat loading doesn't exist. Let's create this first. So inside of the components, I'm going to create a new file for chat loading.js. And this is going to be a fairly simple component. So inside of this, I'm just going to have a stack. So if you remember, we used the stack while creating our login form. So it's going to have a stack of loading skeletons. So if we go here, search skeleton, you're gonna see a skeleton looks something like this. You might have seen this in other social medias as well. So we use just like this. So we're gonna create a bunch of skeletons and I'm gonna add them inside of here. So just like this. Let's import skeleton. And it's gonna display all of these skeletons while this is loading. So if we go back to our app and if we search something, click on go. What's wrong? Did I do something wrong? For this, okay, we haven't imported the chat loading. Yeah, of course. Yeah, now we have imported it. So now this should work. So if we click on J and let's say go, yep, you see this search will be displayed over here. Awesome. So this is what we needed. So our search is done. Now let's render all of these things from handle search. So for rendering this inside of here, I'm gonna say search results or search result dot map. So if there's inside of something inside of search result, so optional chaining and user, and inside of this I'm gonna display all of these things. So I'm gonna display this inside of a component called user list item. User list item. It's gonna have a key since we are mapping. So user dot underscore ID, and it's gonna have the user itself, and we're gonna have a function so that when we click on it, so handle function, it's gonna have this function. So when we click on it, it does something. So I'm gonna say access chat. So it creates a chat, right, with the user dot underscore ID. So I'm gonna create this access chat empty for now over here below this handle search. Let me close this handle search. Below this, and this access chat takes a user ID. So I'm gonna keep it empty for now. And let's create this user list item first. So I'm gonna create a new folder for it inside of the components called user avatar. Inside this folder, I'm gonna create a new file, user list item.js. So it's gonna contain files related to the user list item. So inside of here, RAFCE, it's gonna take user as we mentioned, and it's gonna take this thing, handle function. which will be responsible to create a chat. And to be honest, this user is not really needed, so I'm not gonna send this. I'm just gonna take it from the context API. Why bother if we are using context API, right? So I'm just gonna go inside of here. So chat state, and inside of here, I'm just gonna quickly write it and then I'm gonna explain you what I've done. So inside the return, I've created a box. Let me just import this. All of these things. Cool. Now let me explain. So inside of this box, we have an on click of handle function, which we are sending from there. It's gonna have these styles, cursor pointer, some background. Hover styles, we can write like this, underscore hover. So on hover, the background will be this bluish color and the color will be white. Width will be 100%, display flex, align item center, some generic styles. I don't think I need to explain them. So, and inside of this, we're gonna have an avatar for the user so that we can display the user pic, just like we used avatar earlier with the name and src. And below this, we're gonna display user's name and email. So let's find out. Let's see if it's working or not. So if you go inside the search user and say J, go. Yep, you see? Guest user and okay, guest user. Let's. Oh, my bad. So we need to import the user obviously, because if we go here, we are using this user and not that user. So we need the user from the search results. Otherwise, only going to display the logged in user. Okay, let's see. Yep, you see John Doe. If you just say J and go, we should have, yeah, John Doe and Jane Doe. Both of them are over here. Awesome. This works absolutely fine. So we are successfully done with our side drawer. Now let's create the functionalities so that we can click on these and it can create a chat right over here. Awesome. So let's go and write the logic for access chat. So inside of the access chat, I'm gonna say a try catch. Inside of the try, obviously we're gonna start the loading and we're gonna use this set loading chat. So set loading chat to true. And inside this, we're gonna have the config just like this one. This config over here, I'm gonna take this. So we're gonna have one more thing actually inside of the config. It's gonna have authorization bearer token, and since we are going to be sending some JSON data, so it's also going to have content type. Make sure you write just like I am typing this. So application / JSON. Don't make any spelling mistake. So just like this, content type application / JSON. Cool. And below this, we're gonna make an API request. So to create a chat, what was the API request? It was /API / chat, and it takes the user ID. So I'm gonna say const data equals await, and it's gonna be an async function. And so this axios dot post, and it will have /API / chat, and it takes the user ID and the config. Cool. Now let's set the loading to false and set the selected chat to the data. So obviously we need to create this selected chat state, and I'm gonna create this selected chat state inside of our context so that it is accessible in whole of our app. So I'm gonna go here and say set selected chat, and obviously we haven't created it, so let's go inside of our context in chat provider, create a use state selected chat, and take both of these things, and I'm gonna put it inside of our value and send it to our app. Also, I'm gonna have a chats state as well. So use state chats, so that we can populate all of our current chats inside of this chats state and send this to our app. Cool. And I'm gonna import these chats and set chats as well. We're gonna need them later. So what this will return is, it will return a chat that is created. So selected chat will be the data, and set loading chat will be false, and we're gonna close the side drawer after we click on this. Cool. So now we're gonna obviously display the toast for the catch function. So just like this. Awesome. So this is what we needed to do. Now let's go and create the UI for it. Let's create the UI for all of the chats. So I'm gonna go back to my chat page inside of this my chats. Now here inside of the my chats component, we're gonna import all of the state from our context that we are going to use, which is going to be all of these. So let me import this. So we're gonna have set chats, user, selected chat, set selected chat, all of these things. And we are going to have a local state as well, which is going to be logged user, which I'm gonna explain you later what I'm going to use that for it. So let's move on for now. And also we are going to use toast to display the toast. So let's create the function for toast as well so that we don't have to create it later. Now when we come to this page, we are supposed to fetch all of the chats of the user. So for fetching all the chats of the user, there was an API for /API/chat, and it was a get request. So I'm gonna quickly create that function just like this. So let me explain. So this fetch chat is gonna be async function obviously, and let me import Axios. Yep. So it's gonna have a try catch with this authorization bearer token. So self-explanatory, I guess. And we're making the Axios request to /API/chat, which is a get request, and we are setting all of the chats. So we created this set chats, if you remember. So we're setting all of the chats inside of this. Also, I forgot to do one more thing. So this set chats, if we go inside of the side drawer over here, we're gonna say, so we are creating the new chat over here, right? But if the chat is already inside of this chats state, which we are fetching inside of my chats, so what we want to do, we want to append it. So we're gonna write over here, if chats.find, nope. So if chats.find, if it finds it inside of the list that is already with us, then it's just going to update the list by doing set chats and appending the chat inside of it. So this is a normal find function in JavaScript. And also one more thing that I forgot to do. I don't know why I keep forgetting things. Below this drawer body, so we are doing that loading chat, right? So when the chat is being created, we are not showing that loading anywhere. So we are gonna display a loading animation over here with loading chat and the spinner. Spinner will be imported from chakra UI/spinner. Let me import it. Chakra UI/spinner and import it just like this. Cool. So let me just try to do this. And if we go inside of the user, if we say J, if you click on it, yep, you see the spinner over here. And when the chats are created, it's gonna go over here. And obviously the chats are not populated yet. That's why it's giving this error. But let's take care of that first. Let's create this function over here, fetch chats. After this is done, then that will be done as well. Now we have created this function. Now to call this function, I'm going to call it inside of the use effect. Use effect. Also, I'm going to set the logged user, which we have created the state, which I'm going to again tell you why I'm going to use that. So set the logged user to json.parse, and I'm going to import the user from the local storage, and fetch chats will be called below this. Now that we have fetched all of these chats inside of this chat state, let's render all of them. Inside of the chat provider for chats, I'm gonna give empty array so that it doesn't give any error later. Anyway, so let's try to do that again. Let's try to search J, click on this. Yep, a chat might have been created. We can't see right now, but let's go inside the network tab. I'm gonna do that again. Yep, you see the chat was created. We get this response. Cool. So now if we go inside of our here, and I'm gonna log the data, and this should give us the list of the chats, right? So I'm gonna refresh this. Yep, you see we got this list of chats with both of these users. Yep, we created the chat with John Doe, so it's displaying John Doe here. Cool, we are successful in this part. Now let's render all of our chats over here. So first of all, I'm gonna create the basic UI for this. I'm gonna have a box from Chakra UI. Why is it not getting imported? Yeah, now inside of this, I'm gonna have a few styles. So if we go inside of our app, and if we do like this, if we go beyond a certain limit, you can see only this screen is displayed and not the two parts of the screen are displayed. Yep. So we're gonna make this responsive just like this. Box is not defined. What's wrong? Why is box not defined? It comes from import from, oh sorry, it's imported from Chakra UI / layout. Okay, fine. Cool. So I'm gonna say inside of this box, I'm gonna say display to be, if the chat is selected, then this screen will be displayed. So if you can see, if I refresh this and make this smaller, so if a chat is selected, this screen will be displayed, right? And that screen will go display none. So I'm gonna say if the chat is selected, display none, otherwise display flex. And the medium, obviously both of them are going to be displayed, so it's going to be always display flex. Flex direction column, align items to be center, and padding is going to be 3, background is going to be white, some width in the base is going to be 100%, and in the medium obviously is going to be 30% as I displayed you. Some border radius and some border width. So just like that. Now inside of it, I'm going to have another box which is going to be the header of our chats. So this thing which will say my chats and new group chat, etc. So inside of this box, I'm going to give this some styles as well. It's going to be padding 3, padding bottom 3, padding horizontal to be 3, some font size according to the screen size, some font family, display, width, justify item, and align items. Just like that. It's going to say my chats, my space chats. Let's see. Yep, you see, just like this. If we make the screen smaller, what's wrong? Okay, maybe because the chat is not selected, obviously. If the chat was selected, it would be display none. It's cool. So my chats, and below this, I'm gonna have a button for new group chat. I'll display a button. Let's import the button. /button. Cool, just like that. And it has an icon for add icon. Cool, let's see how that looks. Yep, it looks as we wanted it to look. Now later when we click on this button, obviously we're gonna have this modal displayed, but we're gonna do this in our next video. For now, we're gonna create all of the chats. We're gonna display all of the chats here. So now below this, I'm gonna render all of the chats. So below this, I'm gonna, not below this, below this, I'm gonna have another box which will contain a few styles such as display flex and flex direction to be column, so that they're displayed from top to bottom, some padding of 3, some background color, some width and height and border radius, and some overflow Y hidden. Now inside of here, I'm gonna check if there's something inside of the chats array, then do something. Otherwise, what you should do is you should display the loading. So we created the chat loading, if you remember. Let me import this. Chat loading from /chat loading. Cool. Otherwise, what we're gonna say, so if the chats is there, I'm gonna map through the chat. So I'm gonna have a stack over here just like we used previously. So inside of the stack, I'm gonna, first of all, stack will be scrollable. So I'm gonna say overflow Y to be scroll. And inside of this, I'm gonna map through all of the chats. So chats dot map. It's gonna be a single chat, and inside of this, I'm gonna map. I'm gonna say box, and inside of this box, I'm gonna have a few things. So on click, a chat will be selected, right? So what I'm gonna say, on click of this selected chat will be the particular chat which is currently inside of here. And it's gonna have a few styles like cursor pointer, background to be selected chat. So if the selected chat is equal to the chat, so let me show you over here. You see this, if this chat is over here, if this chat is equal to selected chat. So if I click on this, this chat is selected now. So if this is equal to selected chat, it's gonna turn blue. I'm gonna say if it's equal, turn blue, and the color of the text will be white. Otherwise, black or this color. Cool, and some more generic styles like this, and obviously we need to provide a key. And inside of the box, I'm gonna display a text, which will have a few things. So first of all, I'm gonna check if the chat is not a group chat. Is group chat. So if you remember in our backend, if the chat is a group chat, then it's going to have its name. But if it's not a group chat, every chat has a name of sender, right? Because we don't know from which perspective we are looking in the chat, because both of the user will have the name of the opposite user. So if we go here, if roadside coder is logged in, it's gonna see the Piyush. It's gonna have to see the Piyush. But if the Piyush is logged in, it has to see the name of roadside coder. So we don't know whose name will be displayed over here. That's why we kept the sender in place of the single chat. But for group chat, it's always going to be this name of the group, right? So what I'm gonna do over here is, if this is not a group chat, I'm gonna create an operation over here. Otherwise, I'm just gonna display chat dot chat name. I'm just gonna display the chat's name. Now, if it's not a group chat, then I'm gonna say get sender. I'm gonna get the name of the sender, and I'm gonna create this function in just a minute. So get sender will take logged user and all of the user of this chat. Chat.users. It's just gonna make sense in a second. Just hold on. Let me import this text first. Yeah. So yeah, text is imported. Okay, so now we're gonna create this get sender. So for keeping all of the logic of our app, I'm gonna keep them inside of a config folder. So I'm gonna create a new folder over here in the src called config. And inside of this config, I'm gonna create a file called chat logics.js. Now in here, I'm gonna create the get sender function now. So export const get sender. Now this get sender takes two things, logged user and the users array. And what it's gonna do is, it's gonna see inside of this users array, it's gonna leave the user that is logged in and return the user which is not logged in. So simple logic, not much. But since we're gonna use this at multiple places, that's why I've kept it in separate place. So just like this. So inside the users array, if the user of 0 ID is equal to the logged in user's ID, then return this. Otherwise, return this. So obviously it's going to have just two users inside of this array if it's not a group chat. So that's why this logic will be helpful. Cool. So we are exporting it, and let's import it. Okay, let me manually import it from ./config/chatlogics, and let's import it now. Control space. Yep, it's imported. Now this should work. Let's find out. Let's go back, and yep, you see John Doe is displayed over here. We don't want this scroll thing right here, so I'm gonna write some styles inside of app.js. app.css. Instead of app.css, I'm gonna write WebKit scroll bar to 0, WebKit scroll bar thumb to a background. So I just simply googled it on how to remove the scroll bar or to make this display none, something like that. So I got this code, so I'll just copy paste it over here. Yep, you see. Let's go and try to create Jane Doe. So I'm just gonna click on this. And yep, you see Jane Doe's chat has been also created over here. Awesome. So we have successfully created our chats page with our header and my chats section. Now in our next video, we're gonna create the functionality for this new group chat. And then later in our project, we're gonna create this chats box so that we can start sending these users chats. So hit the like on this video if you like this video, and don't forget to subscribe for more such awesome tutorials in the future. And if you have not yet accessed the complete playlist, click the link in the description to access the complete playlist. And I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.